So children, we begin with the sources, and among the sources which we are going to discuss first are inscriptions. And thankfully you know now pretty much about them. I would like to take you back to the Mauryan Empire we read about, Ashokan rock edict we read, and edicts were what? Decree or in a royal order, and we came to know much about Ashoka's policies from there only. Even the very important thing like his Yuddha Ghosh, Bheri Ghosh, which we read, with that became Dharma Ghosh. From we came to know from the edicts only what he wants, the way he wanted his people to behave, even the ethics, moral rules, all were written in edicts, and they were put upon at important juncture so that people can remember. Then if we talk about Gupta dynasty, we read about Prayag Prashasti, and it is very important because most of the information about Samudragupta, the one who is compared with Napoleon, so we get to know from Prayag Prashasti only. And till this date you see them, you visit temples, you visit government buildings, everywhere you find these things where they announce this thing was made in this memory, or even your nameplate, so to speak, is an inscription which announces that you live over here. So they play an important part because they have survived the ravages of time. If we talk about stone inscriptions, or if we talk about metal inscriptions, in Gupta period I also told about you the iron pillar inscriptions which we have at Mehrauli in the premises of Qutub Minar, which talks about a ruler Chandra, and still maybe some of you have seen it also, and it is still intact in the very good state of preservation. So when we talk about these Chola inscriptions, then because we are talking about medieval history, it's not ancient history. Ancient history, just now I gave you example, but then also we get to know good information. Here we get a very neat clear information about these rulers with all details intact, and in fact the list of the rulers we get from these inscriptions only. And they are mainly, if we talk about Cholas, they are either copper plates or stone inscriptions, Kanyakumari's stone inscription gives us information about these rulers, or on Bill and Karandi inscriptions, which are written on the copper plate, talks about the donations which they have made, and especially these Chola rulers, before they begin with the inscription, specific information which they had to write in that inscription. Before that, their achievements were written. They have been found written in all the inscriptions. So this confirms, that it not only from one source but from various other sources, that actually this thing happened. But yes, some sort of exaggeration might be there, but it's not that across the inscriptions we will get the false information, so to speak. They are written mostly in Sanskrit and Tamil, and entire information which they provide us, it's authentic, as I told you just now, because it can be verified from various sources. And if they built temples are still surviving. Whatever grants they gave to temples, that also we come to know about from these inscriptions. And these inscriptions are still with us in say in some of the museums they are kept, or in some of the libraries they are kept, or some are there at the site only. If they are part of any temple or any building, then they are there at the site. So whatever we are going to read in this chapter, this information is still with us. It's not that we, like in that previous case we found that from Fahim's book we come to know about this thing. No, we have them with us. So these inscriptions become very helpful in knowing about these Chola rulers. What do these specific information, these inscriptions contain, I'll be talking in next video. But this video I wanted to tell you, let's repeat very quickly that they are important. They are done in two languages, mostly Sanskrit and Tamil, and either they are copper plates or they are stone inscriptions.